From B. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. B again. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Now C. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Now back to B. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu. One more time at B. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Now slow down. Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yep. Yeah, that road map is slightly confusing.
Haven't done that in a while.
That is true.
I think with the COVID and the.
Yeah, that's right.
With the,
You're right, we hadn't done that in a good while. Okay, I think we are good. Oops, I just need to write a couple things down here.
BB.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. There's 3. I need to find somebody that will light candles for me tonight. I'll be right back. well, thank you. I hope you did too.
The only thing is, it's like a little, like, it was embarrassing, like weird, but it's like.
טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. My name's Lisa Silver. As you can see, there's no one on this side of the bima tonight. The rabbis are out of town, so I'll be leading you through the service with my friend Jenny Young, wonderful cellist. I'm always glad when she's here. And if you haven't picked up a Siddur prayer book, this is your chance to do it, because tonight we're going old school, old shul, low tech with actual books. So I will try to do my best to remember to tell you the page numbers of the book. So if you want to grab a book, now is your chance, because we will begin with a reading at the top of page 3, and I'd like to call Mindy Drankowski to come up and help us light the Shabbat candles. Top of page 3. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. Please join me. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel So I'm glad to see some familiar faces, or should I say familiar half of faces over there. So it's nice to see the Kellers. It's been a long time. And if those of you, if you haven't been here before, I welcome you. And please, if you'd like to, at the end of the service, come say hello to me or to Mindy, our membership director, or to Carrie, our executive director. We're so glad to have her back. So welcome all of you. So the Torah portion for this week is a pretty famous one called Lech Lecha. Lots of stuff going on in this Torah portion. So I thought it would be interesting, before I do a Devar Torah about the Torah portion, to actually read you the translation so we kind of know what's going on in this story. It's one of the earlier ones at the beginning of the Torah, and it's action-packed. So it's called Lech Lecha. It's from Genesis 12:1 to 17:27 is what I'll be reading about. And I'm going to intersperse it throughout the service. God commands Abram, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you." Promised that he will become a great nation, Abram leaves Haran with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and their entourage, and they reach the city of Shechem in Canaan. otherwise known as Canaan. God promises this land to Abram's descendants, and Abram builds an altar to God at Bethel. A famine forces Abram and Sarai down to Egypt, where Pharaoh lusts after Sarai, thinking she is Abram's sister. God prevents Pharaoh from touching her. Instead, Pharaoh gives Abram great wealth and expels the group to Canaan. More to come. We will hear of angels a little later in the Torah portion, but now we fast forward to a Zimra, a song written in the 17th century, which sings of the angels that accompany us on Shabbat. The words to Shalom Aleichem can be found on page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Milech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Milech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Milech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Milech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn to page 26, and we rise for the words of Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkara v'yitkara shamei rabba, ba'alma divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon, uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'zman kariv, v'yimeru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mavorach, La'olam U'almei Almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, Yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, Shemei Dekudasha B'richu, Le'elam min kol birchata, v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran b'elma, v'yimeru, Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We turn to page 30. We sing together the words of Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher Asher bivaro marivaravim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bivaro marivaravim. We read together at the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. We chant together words of Torah, the V'ahavta, found on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol avavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha. V'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha. Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam lot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Now back to our story. There the servants of Lot and Abram quarrel. The two agree to separate, with Lot choosing the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah in the well-watered plains of Jordan. God reiterates the promise that the land will belong to Abram's heirs, who will number the dust of the earth. 4 kings battle 5 kings, and in the process capture Lot. When Abram hears of this, he musters 318 fighters, routing them near Damascus and rescuing Lot and the residents and wealth of Sodom. In gratitude, King Melchizedek, try saying that 3 times fast, of Salem, later Jerusalem, blesses Abram in the name of God Most High. We now sing of God Most High and our liberation from Egypt later in the Torah with the words of Michamocha. You can find it on page 40. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malachutecha ra'u v'necha, bukei hayam lifnei Moshe. We ask God for protection with the words of Hashkivenu. You can find some of the words, the Hebrew part, on page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha, v'hoshienu l'man shemecha. Help us to know that you're near, that your presence is here. Let us lie down in peace every night, and when we rise in the day, keep us sheltered, we pray. Guide us, God, with your love and your light. Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. We turn to page 44. And we read together in the middle of the page. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם. God tells Hagar that her son Ishmael will become a great nation, and that she must, in the meantime, return to Abram and Sarai. God changes Abram's name to Abraham, father of a multitude, and Sarai's name to Sarah, princess, ordaining the mitzvah of the Brit Milah, the ritual circumcision binding on all Jewish males throughout the generations. God promises that Sarah will bear a son, despite being 90 years old, and that the boy will be called Isaac. Abraham circumcises himself and all his followers. Responding to Abraham's complaint that he is still childless, God tells him to look toward heaven and count the skies. So shall be your offspring. God tells Abraham to sacrifice a heifer, a goat, a ram, a turtle dove, and a bird. Abraham sleeps between the split carcasses, and God tells him that his descendants will be enslaved for 400 years, but that God will liberate them with great wealth, and Abraham will die in peace. Sarah takes matters into her own hands and has Abraham sleep with her servant, the Egyptian handmaid Hagar. Hagar conceives and thereafter disdains her barren mistress. In response, Sarah treats her harshly. Hagar runs away. An angel tells her to return. We now turn to page 46. We rise for the Amidah, and it continues on pages 48, 50, and 52. Adonai tzifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב והושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשנה עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We take a few moments now for our own silent prayer. You are welcome to read the prayers on the following pages, or just think of the prayers in your own heart, and when you've completed them, you may be seated. See your beauty, it's just beyond our eyes. Help us see your miracles, help us realize that you are holy, your name is holy, and we proclaim that you your name is holy, Ata Kadosh. Ata Kadosh, V'Shemcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom, Yahalalucha. Your name is holy, and we proclaim that you are holy. Your name is holy, Ata Kadosh. At this point in the service, we always take a few moments to think of people, our loved ones, people in our community who are in need of a prayer for healing of body or mind or spirit. This week we are thinking of Steve Geringer, Paul Richter, Crystal Miller, Charlie Baugh, Dick Eskind, Steve Gould, Phoebe Weinstein, Alex Morgan, Bill Drongowski, Adria Ragusan, Janice Grossman, Jill Gutnick, Florence Woodenstein-Saperstein, Mike Harris, Alan Mandel, Caitlin Koppelman. If you have any names that you'd like to add, please feel free.
Sylvie's cousin, Hughes family, Bill Clinton.
We sang a prayer for healing. This one is not in the book, but some of you may know the words. And if you do, feel free to sing along. For the hurt of body and of soul, for the suffering and pain, as you heal the ones who came before. May you heal us just the same. Refuat hanefesh v'haguf el narifana. Refainu Adonai refuah shleima. Refuat hanefesh v'haguf el narifana. Refainu Adonai refuah shleima. For the hurt of body and of soul, for the suffering and pain, as you heal the ones who came before, may you heal us just the same. As you heal the ones who came before, may you heal us just the same. So as you can imagine, with a famous Torah portion like Lech Lecha, there are probably many, many interpretations, many Devar Torah, but tonight I chose to read one written by Rabbi Bradley Shavit Arnson. For more than 2,500 years, the majority of the Jewish people has lived outside of the land of Israel. Since 586 BCE, the first exile to Babylon after the destruction of King Solomon's temple, we have seen the land of Israel as more than mere territory. Israel is also a value, an embodiment of Jewish wholeness, of being sheltered, of being at home. Parshat Lech Lecha begins with God's call to Abraham, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you." From the outset, this parsha is one of transitions and new beginnings. God tells our ancestor Abraham to sever his connection to a past rooted in convention and idolatry and seek a new orientation, go to a new place. To go to Israel is not merely to change one's address. Israel represents a shift in consciousness, a place that can nurture deeper spiritual insight by virtue of the events and institutions that will emerge from its soil. The land of Israel will become the home base of the people of Israel during their period of greatest freedom and their earliest religious creativity. From this soil, the judges and the house of David will guide the Jewish people in the service of their God. In the center of Jerusalem, on Mount Zion, King Solomon will erect the temple, where our ancestors fulfilled the sacrificial requirements of the Torah, with a few exceptions, for 1,000 years. That site was so important that it occasioned the rebellion of the Maccabees and the rededication of the temple, an event we still celebrate annually with the lights of Hanukkah. It was in the land of Israel that the Torah was compiled, that the prophets spoke, that the Psalms were composed and chanted. In that little land, our people lived out the earliest phases of our history. Years later, that same soil was the site of the creation of the Mishnah, the earliest work of rabbinic law, and of the Midrashim, the creative rabbinic explanations of the Bible and expansions of the Bible. Here, the institution of the synagogue was nurtured, and the schoolhouse, the Beit Midrash, was born. In Israel, the Jewish calendar was developed and maintained. The Talmud teaches that the sanctity of the land of Egypt, of Israel, and of the people of Israel are one. Having blossomed as a people, having cultivated a covenantal love with God in Zion, the land of Israel acquired holiness through our many experiences there. Not the least of its miracles was its centrality in the process of Jewish renewal of the last 2 centuries. In the words of the Israeli anthem, Hatikva, we prayed for 2,000 years to be a free nation in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. The Zionist movement transformed Hebrew, for centuries a language only of scholarship and piety, into a living language. Hebrew now lives in the mouths of Israelis and has enjoyed a resurgence in American synagogues as well. Along with our language, the existence and achievements of Israel also resurrected Jewish pride and a sense of mission. What can we do for our land in response? God instructs Abraham, "Arise, walk about the land through its length and breadth, for I give it to you." That instruction applies to us as well. Land has always been a source of resurgence and identity for us, but only to the extent that we make Israel a part of our being, an unveiling of our personalities and our souls. As Rabbi Eliezer explains in Midrash Bereshit Rabbah, if one walks in a field, whether along its length or its breadth, one acquires it. By renewing our connection to Israel, by traveling there, studying there, living there, we establish our claim to the land and allow the land to exercise its claim on us. So a well-known Torah portion like Lech Lecha deserves a song, and there is a famous song written by Debbie Friedman called Lechi Lech. Lechi Lech, to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi Lech, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi Lech. Lechi Lech, and I shall make your name great. Lech Lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi Lech, to a place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lech. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lech. So do we have anyone this evening that is celebrating a simcha, a wedding or anniversary, something special, that wants to be put on the spot and embarrassed? Or have a little blessing sung to them? No? Okay. Well, in that case, if not, I will invite the Averys to come up and help me open the ark doors, and we will rise for Elenu on page 283. Aleinu l'shabech la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. This week we think of Esther Abram Freeman, Kurt Eager Sr., Louise Rothkopf-Meyer, Libby Cully, Robert M. Eskind, Mr. Maurice Acker, Phil Jackman, Leah Rabinovitz, Sylvia Evans, Rachel Samus, Helga Schneider-McCaw, David Stein, Dorothy Joseph Rose, Aaron Farber, Miriam Robbins Fisher, Harry Canner, Miriam Goodman, Francis Zelensky, Marshall Lewis, Jerome Allen Averbush, Elmer Craig. We continue mourning for Lois Hershkowitz, Bruce Goldstein, Jerry Lee Koppelman. If there's any names that I've mispronounced or haven't added, please feel free. We read together Kadisha Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 294. Yit Gedal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divarach Yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, B'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yamru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shemei d'kudashah b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. I've got a whole long list here of announcements, but I'll try not to take too long. Okay, Micah's Socktober drive is underway. We are collecting new socks from child to adult size. Socks will be donated to local organizations, including the Oasis Center. Please drop them off any Tuesday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Micah office. Torah study is tomorrow morning, October 16th at 9 a.m. via Zoom, and you can find out about it on the website if you want to join in. Mahjong on Tuesday, October 19th at 12:30 p.m., and that's live and in person here. Micah Midweek officially begins on Wednesday, October 20th. For more information, please reach out to Julie Greenberg, our education director. Schmooze and Views, Thursday, October 21st at 10:30 a.m., available in person and via Zoom on the Micah events page. Our new executive director is officially here. She's in the back. Woo-hoo! We will be offering an official welcome at next week's Shabbat service, Friday, October 22nd, so please join us. We're so glad to welcome Carrie. Speaking of October 22nd, our next Social Action Centered Shabbat service will be on October 22nd. Well, I guess we're having a big night, October 22nd. Welcome, it's called Welcome the Stranger Shabbat. Although Carrie is not a stranger, but we are welcoming everyone. More information is available on our events and social action page. The MCA online book fair started on October 18th. Wait, this is not October 18th. It's starting on October 18th, right? It's coming up. Okay. Little typo there. More information available on the Micah events page. All book purchases help support the Micah Children's Academy. The next Micah blood drive is scheduled for Sunday, October 24th. Sign up at redcross.org under Give Blood with the special code CHAI, C-H-A-I. Save the date for the upcoming Jewish parenting class, a 3-week series that starts on October 31st. For more info, reach out to Julie Greenberg. Also, save the date for the upcoming Equanimity and Contemplative Practice, how Jewish spirituality brings mindfulness, balance, and wholeness to our lives. A limited series offered each Wednesday, November 3rd to 17th, taught by Ethan Frenzel. More info available on the adult education page. So as you can see, there are lots of things going on here at Congregation Micah, both in person and on Zoom. And with that, we will ask you to rise for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'havahu v'ratzon hinkilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tachila למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. You all can sit. You can sit. We're just going to do one more closing song, a little Osei Shalom, and I want to say again thank you to Jenny Young for being here. It's always delightful. Thank you to Jim Gilmore in the back, making us sound good. And if you know the words, feel free to sing along. Osei Shalom dimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, imaru, imaru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom.